Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. Today is November 20th, 2025. In this video, I'm just going to talk generally about how to start and scale your bookkeeping business. This is a live video on YouTube. If you're joining me live, please ask a ton of questions because I'll be honest with you, I don't have a lot of notes prepared for today's video. I go live every day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I usually have about 10 to 15 minutes of notes prepared in advance to talk through. I've had a very busy morning, so I did not get a chance to prepare my notes, such as life. As an entrepreneur, you will find days that you just don't quite have it all together. But what I do teach is consistency. So I could have skipped the meeting this morning, not meeting. I could have skipped making this live video this morning, but I teach consistency. So here I am showing up anyway, even if it's not going to be 100%, even if it's not perfect, show up every single day. Try not to skip days. Come up with a schedule, stick to that schedule. So that's what I'm doing here today. The reason I'm a little bit behind is because I host a monthly meetup every month. It's usually the last Thursday of every month, but that's Thanksgiving this month. So instead, we met this Thursday, the 20th. We meet at my church for an hour. And then what do we do after that? We go to breakfast and we eat breakfast together. It's really great. I started doing this about a year ago, and I consistently have 15 to 30 guys show up. It's really, really great. It's so much more than just networking. It truly is a support group, and it's a lot of fun. I had one of the guys this morning open up to me, and he shared how he was talking to somebody else, another entrepreneur, and the other guy was just struggling. He was going through a really hard time personally, mentally, emotionally, and he just didn't really have anybody to talk to. And that really resonated with me. I feel like it takes a special kind of person to be an entrepreneur, to start a business, a very courageous person, willing to take risk, hardworking, making sacrifices. And that kind of person can struggle sometimes to deal with mental and emotional adversity. So, truthfully, this group is designed to be a support group. It's more than networking, it's really all about relationships. And let me just share. So, before the meeting, I prepared 3 questions. I printed them out, and I really like one on one conversation. That's kind of the whole point. When you go to a networking event, you want to have those one on one conversations. I just think they're really, really good. So, what I did is we meet together as a group, and then we break off into one-on-one small groups, couples, and we just talk about it. And so I actually, let me try to pull this up real quick. Let's see if I can find it. I don't think I can find it, but that's okay. What do? I'm all over the place. I come up with questions that I want to share, that I want people to ask, and I emailed them to myself, and I can't find them in my inbox right now. I really wish I had them, but I don't have them. Let me just check one more place. No, okay, I don't have them. That's okay. So they were questions like, where do you want to be in 3 years? What do you need to do to accomplish your goals in the next 3 years? Another one of the questions I thought was really good is, what should you stop doing right now in your business? And the third question, can't remember what the third question was, but the idea was that we took a couple minutes to jot down some thoughts, and then we met one-on-one with a partner. And then we came back together as a group, and everybody shared. And then we got a new partner for question number 2, talk to somebody else one-on-one. And it's really all about building relationships, having those one-on-one conversations, building those deeper relationships. Social media marketing is great. I love social media marketing. There's just something special about in-person meetups, networking, building relationships that you just can't replicate that on the internet. So I think social media marketing is great. Definitely think you should do that. But also maybe try to join a local networking event just once a month. It doesn't have to be every single week. It doesn't have to be multiple times per month, maybe once a quarter, once a month. If you do have time, definitely recommend it. $1 million bookkeeper. So I made that in the title. And I love talking about money. I love talking about numbers. There's a certain thing that you have to do whenever you're making content. You have to quickly establish yourself as an authority. So to establish myself as somebody who knows what they're talking about, to somebody who's new watching my YouTube videos, I have to quickly grab their attention and quickly prove to them like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for a long time. So that's why I put things like $1 million bookkeeper in the title. However, it is actually true. I will share with you this year, for the first time ever, I did actually make $1 million. And I did it in 10 months from January through October. My profit is $1 million, right around roughly. And so I'm on pace to hit pretty much 1.2 million profit this year. But caveat, it's not all from bookkeeping. So I started as a bookkeeper 5 years ago, but all my profit is not just from bookkeeping. As you can see in the bottom of the screen there, I have an investment fund, Zip Capital. So I do a lot of real estate private money lending. And so a lot of my income does actually come from the real estate private money lending side of things. So I did make $1 million this year. Last year I made 750. Year before that, 300. It was 55, 110, and then maybe 300, and then 750, and then now I'm on pace to hit 1.2 million. But it's not all from bookkeeping. So I sell digital downloads. I have paid mentorships. I have bookkeeping, of course. I have 70 bookkeeping clients, and then I have a $4 million real estate loan portfolio. Okay, so with that, I see there's a couple people asking questions, but let me just touch base on my notes. Okay, so here's a couple ideas to jog your questions a little bit. So how to start a bookkeeping business from scratch. That's a really general question. But if you have specific questions about how to start a bookkeeping business, how to find your first bookkeeping client, my approach to pricing, packages, raising rates, what software I use every day to manage my client work, how I manage my time as a bookkeeping entrepreneur, and common mistakes new bookkeepers make and how to avoid them. So if you have any questions, or if you just want me to elaborate on any of those things, I am here for you. So over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about whatever you want me to talk about. So you can drive the conversation. You can ask me questions, or it doesn't even have to be a specific question. You can just say, hey, Zach, elaborate on some common mistakes that new bookkeepers make, or elaborate on how you price your bookkeeping packages. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. Let's jump into the questions. If you're watching the replay of this video the following day, consider joining me live. If you have questions, I don't respond to comments on my videos because I do these lives. So I will answer everybody's questions live in the video. And then if you're listening to my podcast on Apple or Spotify, I have the exact same name, bookkeeping expert Zach Pasquarello, on YouTube. So if you're listening to the podcast and you want to join me live, or you want to watch the video, feel free to find me on YouTube. Let's get to the questions. DFOS27. Hi, Zach. Happy to see you're still doing the live streams. Do you use the closed book feature in QuickBooks every month? No. I will only do that at the end of the year if the client wants me to do that. I do not use the closed book feature every month. Chili Davids. Hi, Zach. How do you ask your client for their ACH information so you can get paid? It's part of my client agreement. So I use PandaDoc to electronically and securely send documents for signature. And so my client has to fill out the client agreement, and they provide their banking information whenever I onboard them. And then I use my business bank account. I use treasury management, or sometimes called cash management, at my bank to do ACH origination. So I put in my client's banking information, and then I pull my monthly payment every month. So they don't initiate the payment. I initiate the payment on behalf of their bank account. Does each capitalized asset need its own account in the chart of accounts? Absolutely not. That would be insane. No, you don't. But what you do need is you need an asset tracker. So if you have prepaid expenses, unearned revenue, fixed assets, if you have a balance sheet account that has multiple different assets or liabilities inside that account, you should have a separate Google Sheet or Excel sheet keeping track of all that information. So I actually reconcile for Zip Capital. I obviously manage the books for my investment fund. I actually reconcile my assets and my liabilities every month, not just my bank account, but I actually reconcile my loans receivable, and I reconcile my construction loan holdback, my rehab draws with my borrowers, and I reconcile my investor my investor payable is what I call it. So investors invest into Zip Capital, and that's a liability on my balance sheet. So if you give me $100,000, I would get $100,000 in my bank account, and investor payable would go up by $100,000. That would be a liability because I would eventually owe you that money back. So I actually go so far as to reconcile all of my balance sheet accounts every single month. And so I have investor software that keeps track of my investors. And so I will look to see what's the best. So whenever it comes to balance sheet accounts and reconciliations, fixed assets or unearned revenue or prepaid expenses, you always want to have two different documents that you can compare. That's really what a reconciliation is. So when you have a bank account, you have the QuickBooks, then you have the bank statement. Credit card, same thing. Credit card statement. Loan, same thing. Monthly loan statement. So if it's a prepaid expense or a fixed asset account that has multiple assets in it, or multiple prepaid expenses in it, or multiple unearned revenues in it, you need to have a statement. And so you might not have a legitimate bank statement, but you can create one yourself. So you need to have a tracker. You need to have a spreadsheet. You need to have a Google sheet with a list of all your fixed assets, a list of all your prepaid expenses. And then every month you want to see, okay, what should that number be? Based on this spreadsheet, what should that number be? And then you go to QuickBooks and you reconcile. It's the exact same concept. You type in the number that it should be, the ending balance, the ending date, October 31st, and you reconcile in QuickBooks. Let's see, next question. When you are first onboarding clients, do you invoice via QuickBooks? Yes. Whenever I was getting started, before I had ACH origination set up through my bank account, I just simply sent QuickBooks invoices directly. I used QuickBooks as a payment processor. So you can set up, very simple, you can set up payment processing with QuickBooks, and then you can send an email. You can send an email directly from QuickBooks, or you can download the invoice and then send the email you want if you want manually. But you can send the invoice straight from QuickBooks to your customer, and you can even enable payment processing. That way your customer can pay directly from that invoice. They can pay with an ACH. They can pay with a check if they want. They can just mail you a check or hand you a check, or they can pay with ACH, or they can pay with a credit card. Just keep in mind, QuickBooks, as any payment processor, charges a fee to process those payments for you. So keep that in mind. Is there a way to do bookkeeping for real estate investors if they don't want to add class tracking? Yes, of course. You absolutely could. It just won't be accurate. So you can do bookkeeping for a flipper and not do class tracking, and it's fine. You only really need the class tracking for long-term rentals because you're supposed to have a Schedule E on your tax return for the individual properties, for the rentals. So that's the only real example where you definitely need to have class tracking but I've even seen people not use class tracking. They have 3 rentals. And so for their Schedule E, they'll just take all their repairs and maintenance and they'll say, yeah, 20% towards that property, 60% towards that property, and 20% towards that property. So they don't class track specifically, but they just use a general percent break. And that's not accurate, but I have seen people do that. So you definitely don't 100% absolutely need class tracking, but it's definitely recommended. Have you ever had a client's CPA say that you've done some bad bookkeeping or tell the client you've made a mistake? Not really, not bad bookkeeping. Every CPA is different. Every accountant is different. There are some CPAs who literally ask 0 questions. They take the P&L and the balance sheet, sometimes not even the balance sheet, and they'll just take the P&L and they are really just doing data entry, and they don't check anything. They don't recommend anything. They don't ask for anything. They literally just take the P&L, data entry into the tax software and hit submit. And then there's other CPAs who want things a certain way, or ask questions, or ask clarifying follow-up, requesting more information. Really, if anything, it's a work in progress. So if a CPA has a question or is requesting clarification, I'll do my best to provide the information. I'll export the general ledger, or I will send a list of transactions. And then sometimes the CPA does request that I make changes, which is totally fine. Don't get upset. You don't need to see who's right. It's not a competition. They're not trying to undermine your authority. It's not like that. It's a collaboration. Truthfully, the CPA, the bookkeeper, the client, you all three are working together. So if the CPA wants you to make changes, if the client wants you to make changes, don't be offended. Don't be upset. Do your best to make the change. Just work, cooperate with the CPA, work with the client. I promise you, it'll be better for everybody. Next question. Why do you say 30 connection requests is the sweet spot? Why not more or less? So for LinkedIn and Facebook, but I'm only doing it on LinkedIn right now. LinkedIn will limit the number of connection requests that you can send. Facebook also does the same. So they try to prevent spam. So if you send more than 200 LinkedIn, at least for me, everybody's profile might be different based on your history and your specific LinkedIn profile. But for me, if I send more than 200 connection requests per month, LinkedIn stops me. So I can't send more than 200. So that's why I say about 30 per day is about that sweet spot. You can definitely do less and not get hit with spam. You can't really do more. Next question. There's a 600 monthly limit, so around 25 to 30 is the sweet spot. There you go. That's exactly what I was saying. I maybe you're right. 600 monthly limit. You could be right, but you also could. I also don't really know, and I feel like nobody really knows. I feel like everybody's profile might be different. I don't know. You might be right, but either way, just figure it out for yourself and try not to get hit with spam because that could potentially hurt your profile. So slowly work up to it. Start with 10 or 15 per day. And then if that's working, if that's sustainable, then do more. Keep in mind, this is a long-term strategy. You're not going to get rich quick doing this. So do enough today that it's sustainable. Don't do too much today that you're burnt out and exhausted that you can't do it tomorrow. I would much rather you do 10 every day for the next 100 days than do 50 for the next 5 days and give up, right? I want you to be consistent. I want your strategy to be sustainable. I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 5 years and I'm just now hitting that $1 million mark. So if you really want to build this business into something big, it's going to take time. I almost guarantee you're not going to make $1 million in the first year of your business. Almost guaranteed anybody, unless you have really great connections or a ton of experience or a really great network, almost anybody is not going to make $1 million in the first year. But it's absolutely possible to do it in 3, 4, or even 5 years. Absolutely possible. Hi, Zach. I joined late, but the support group at your church sounds amazing. Are all attendees business owners? Yes, for the most part. I'm pretty sure they're all business owners. Also people who wish to start. Yeah, there could be some people. There was somebody who is working on his master's degree in engineering, and he is trying to become an entrepreneur eventually. So yeah, there's a large group of people. Let's see, small biz tax lady. That's a nice profit. I would agree. Yes, absolutely. So it's not going to happen for everybody. So of course, God has blessed me in my business to the point where I was able to be very profitable over the past 3 years. But it would be unrealistic for me to sit here and say everybody is going to have this same level of success. Of course, some people get promoted at work, other people don't. Some people get fired, other people don't. Some people's businesses succeed, other people's don't. Some people, it takes 2, 3, 4 tries before they have a successful business. Other people might take 10 or 15 businesses until you're successful. Some people might be successful at 25. Other people might be successful at 65. So everybody's different. I think I talked about this yesterday. Don't focus so much on controlling the outcome or the output. Focus more on the input. Don't worry about your profit. Worry about your profit. Of course, you need money to pay your bills, to survive and to live. But don't focus on your profit. Focus on your inputs. Don't focus on the clients that you get or the meetings that you book. Focus on the inputs, the things that you can control, your marketing, your sales, your customer service. Focus on the inputs, not the outputs. As a bookkeeper, do you deal at all with depreciation? Honestly, no. In the course I'm doing, it's saying usually the CPA, yes, the CPA will calculate depreciation because there are a dozen different ways to calculate depreciation. Tax depreciation is almost always different from book depreciation. The CPA has tax software that helps them calculate depreciation. So if there is depreciation that needs to be calculated, the CPA does it. And if they want me to do an adjusting journal entry to adjust depreciation expense and accumulated depreciation, I will absolutely do that. But I do not calculate depreciation. I haven't filed 1099s yet. Do you file them through QuickBooks? Yes. And you can't do them until January. You have to wait until the end of the year. I will probably talk more about that end of December, beginning of January. Hi, Zach. Honestly, is there any real opportunity for non-US residents who have US bookkeeping experience? I'd really appreciate your honest opinion. So here's my honest opinion. You ready for this? I only talk about my own personal experience. Unfortunately, I don't have any experience in that. So I am not your greatest resource. I only know what it's like to live in Pennsylvania and to offer bookkeeping services to other people in the United States. So I'm so sorry, but I am not your guy for advice on trying to start a bookkeeping business in the United States when you don't live or you're not a resident of the United States. So sorry. Would you recommend getting LinkedIn Sales Navigator after getting the first client? It doesn't look cheap. It's like $100 a month. You don't need it. I think it's good. I'm using it right now. I am very frugal. I'm very stingy when it comes to paying money in my business. And I think it's really valuable. I like it a lot. I don't know. You can always just try it for 1 month, see if you like it. And if you don't like it, get rid of it. But yeah, I would say it's one of the few softwares, it's one of the few things in advertising and marketing that I actually pay for. So website I pay for, and my email I pay for, and LinkedIn Sales Navigator I pay for. So there's really not a lot of things that I pay for. So for me, saying that I pay for LinkedIn, I do think that's saying a lot. What was the most challenging thing you came across in the beginning of being a bookkeeper? I would say getting your first client, establishing yourself as a bookkeeping expert when you literally have no experience, establishing yourself as a bookkeeping expert when nobody knows who you are. When I got started, I had 300 Facebook friends. It's not like I was some social media influencer from day one and I just leveraged my network and got a ton of bookkeeping clients. I was just a regular dude. I was an Army veteran. I was working at Amazon as an area manager. I only had 300 Facebook friends, didn't know a single thing about entrepreneurship. So getting started, getting your name out there is the hardest part. So you have to be, what I like to say, ruthless and relentless every single day. You have to have unwavering confidence to put yourself out there. Try something new, take a risk. If you have that, if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to make sacrifices, then absolutely you can be successful. But it's super hard. Don't ever let anybody tell you starting a business, starting any business is easy. It's super hard. You need to be consistent for a very long time. You need to face rejection and overcome and continue to put yourself out there day after day. But that's why I'm here. I'm here to encourage you. I'm here to inspire you. However, keep in mind that encouragement, inspiration, motivation only goes so far. So I can inspire you. Other people can motivate you, but only you have the discipline to actually do the work. So this is great. These live meetings are great. Accountability groups, support groups, mentorship is great to inspire, educate, motivate, encourage. That's great, but that's only 10% of the solution. The other 90% comes from you, comes from discipline. You have to have discipline, time management. You have to be organized if you want to be successful. Andy Moreno. So I just opened a new business. We do know how to use QuickBooks. Question: do you use ads to get business clients? No, I have never paid for advertising. I've done a lot of advertising, but I've never paid for it. It's all been organic social media marketing. So no, I don't use ads to get bookkeeping clients or to get any clients, but there are obviously millions of business owners who do that. Could be a very good strategy. It's just simply not the strategy that I've done for no reason other than the fact that I just always wanted to try to do it myself first, and it worked. So I had no reason to try to pay for ads. What kind of businesses are the best for looking to offer the service? Real estate investors are great, restaurants are great, e-commerce businesses are great, trucking companies are great, general contractors are great. Anybody's good. It doesn't matter. It really, truthfully does not matter. You could be a bookkeeper who specializes in bookkeeping for painters, and that's great. There are millions of painters in this country who need help with their bookkeeping. So I really don't think it matters what industry you work for, because also when it comes to debits and credits, a P&L and a balance sheet looks pretty much the same across the board. Of course, every business is going to have its own unique challenges and problems, but generally speaking, accounting concepts, gap, debits, credits, income statement, balance sheet, it's all the same. What was the most? Nope, already read that question. Let's see, a couple more questions. How do you calculate the price for your service? Super, super simple. Figure out, calculate how many transactions they have on average per month, and then multiply that number by three. And you do that by requesting the client's bank statements. Three most recent bank statements, three most recent credit card statements, add up all the transactions, and that's their monthly bookkeeping quote. Hey, Zach, it's still hard trying to get bookkeeping clients on Facebook? It seems like trying to get followers instead of clients. I never forgot how to bookkeep and work on getting followers. Yeah, it is extremely hard. It is very hard. It's probably the hardest thing that I've ever done. The good news is it's possible. So there, I would be willing to bet there are a dozen people watching right now. There's almost 60 people watching live right now. I would be willing to bet there's at least 10 people in this live right now who have more than 3 or 4 bookkeeping clients. So actually, real quick, if anybody's watching live, if you want to drop in the comments in the chat, how many bookkeeping clients do you have right now? That would be kind of cool to see. I have 70. So I'll get started. I'll go first. I have 70 bookkeeping clients. Everybody else, let us know how many bookkeeping clients you have. And Jamie, no, DJ Cutta. Let's see what they say. Let's see. Maybe this will inspire you and motivate you a little bit. Let's see how many bookkeeping clients everybody in the chat has. So if you're watching live, go ahead and throw in the chat how many bookkeeping clients you have, and hopefully we can motivate and inspire DJ Cutta to not give up, because it is very hard, but it's possible. Jamie Choi. Hi, Zach. Thanks for doing these lives. I am in the process of starting my bookkeeping business. I have a plan on what training program to get, but I'm curious what your recommendations would be. Jamie, I think it all depends on what you need to learn. So you need to learn 2 things: bookkeeping fundamentals and accounting concepts. That's number 1. And number 2 is marketing and sales. You can learn both things on your own. Honestly, you could watch all my YouTube videos and learn for free if you really wanted to. But you're going to have to trade a resource. You're going to have to trade a resource to learn. You've got 2 resources. You have money and you have time. If you have time, then you don't need to spend money, and you can watch a ton of free YouTube videos. You can read books at the library about accounting concepts and bookkeeping fundamentals, and you can learn. If you don't have a ton of time, but you have money, then you can trade your money and you can buy a course, or you can buy a college class that will consolidate your education and teach you exactly what you need to know. So that's what you need to ask yourself. Right now, do you have time or do you have money? Whichever resource you have more of, that's the resource you should spend to learn. And you can learn bookkeeping. You can't really learn marketing and sales by taking a college class or by reading books. Honestly, the best way to learn, old-fashioned school of hard knocks. Just start creating content, start analyzing other creators' content, other influencers, see what they're posting. You can follow me on social media. I've got all my social media channels linked down below. Follow me on social media, see what I'm posting, when I'm posting, where I'm posting, and follow other people. I really don't think there's a great way to learn marketing and advertising. You just have to get your own experience. But bookkeeping fundamentals and concepts, absolutely. You can absolutely learn that by taking a course, college class, course, or by watching YouTube videos, or by getting a textbook, and you can learn that stuff. Okay, so that's it for today. But let's see. Let's see. Somebody said I have 4 clients. Somebody said 7, 6, only 1, 1. I have only 1. I have 3 bookkeeping clients right now. I had 7. I have 0 bookkeeping clients, none yet. Seems like pretty consistent, anywhere from like 1 to 7. So that's decent. So I think it was, I forget who was asking about it before, but it's definitely possible. Look, there's a dozen people right there in the chat who have at least one bookkeeping client. So it's definitely possible. You just have to stay consistent, persevere, don't give up, keep working hard. Okay, that's it for the live. Today's Thursday. I am going live one more time this week tomorrow. So if I did not get a chance to answer your questions, then feel free to hop on live tomorrow. Join me at 10 a.m. and I will be back again to answer your questions. Last thing, this video is sponsored by Zip Capital. So if you made it this far, and if you have $25,000 or more sitting in a bank account or a CD or a money market account, and you want to earn 8% up to 12% fixed returns, consider investing in Zip Capital. I lend to real estate investors. I charge them 12% interest. I have a promissory note and a mortgage secured by a first lien on their properties. And then I use your money to lend to real estate investors. So that's the investment fund. Right now, I manage a $4 million real estate loan portfolio, and my goal is to get to $5 million. So I need about $1 million more to hit my goal. So if you want to join Zip Capital, there's a link down below. You can register on my website. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all